What's up guys, it's Ethos99 and welcome to my tutorial of how I made Leave Me. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. Alright you guys, so there's a lot going on here, so I'm going to try to break it down as simple and as quick as I can while not missing basically anything. So to start, how I usually do things is by structure. So the first thing I do before I make like any chords or I make like any musical stuff, I basically write down, make these brackets, or they're called locators. So most of the time they end up changing by the end of the song anyways, but it's just kind of something in my head where I'm like, okay, no, starting with this, then I move to this. But with that being said, I always start with chords. So right here we got some piano. And I have some effects on those. Let's see. Yeah, basically I just kind of broke down like the high frequencies and the low frequencies, EQ'd them, and add some reverb and cool stuff like delays, you know. And another thing I did was guitar. One thing I like to do a lot with the guitars is, this isn't the original sample, like the original sample is different, but I changed it up here, so I brought it up. So the original sample right here sounds like this. But I changed it so the second half sounds like this. I like to do little things like that in a lot of my stuff. And then here I literally just took like, I was trying to play guitar once, LOL, and I was like moving frets, and I just took this from my phone and put this along in its own like track, so that way it sounded like it was you're moving frets, because I like that effect, and it didn't have it in the original sample. So leave that with reverb. Very subtle, but altogether it's like it's just notes. So that's obviously way too detailed, but that's little things like that that add up. I usually have pads, and that big thing in the intro where like everything hits, it's like I'll play it from the start so you can get a feel. This is literally just like a vocal with heavy reverb. Basically heavy reverb and a little bit of delay, and it's filtered so the high ends aren't there. That underwater effect. And that big blah thing, it's like a bass, that's a combination of basically bass sounds I always use. This is the main one. Love using that one. It's basically, I don't know, it's like a combination of a saw and a square wave, like distorted in certain ways. And then this one is like a same thing as that last one, but it's like just higher frequencies and a lot more distorted. So that's kind of the first layering of it. And then moving on here, on the verse, I always go overboard on like my kicks and snares, but as far as layering them, which I would not recommend, but basically I just EQ'd. If you watch my earlier snare video, it's like the same version of that except with kicks. You just basically take certain frequencies and EQ them to make like a new snare, but so nothing clashes at the same time. That's this kick. That's the sub frequencies, higher frequencies. That one, these kicks right here are literally just, it's the same kick as this one, but I took out the low frequencies and I basically just panned it wide, which is a cool effect I really like. That's the kicks. Now we gotta get the hi-hats. I think I basically just, it's like the same one, just turned down, and I think I brought it down a few semitones, so it's like, then we got the snares. If you watch my previous video on snares, that literally talks about all how I do these. The guitar again for the verse, and there's obviously the vocals. I put the pads in on the second part of it to kind of, it's like the first part, you know, comes in, and then the second part it kind of adds. It usually wants something switching up every 8 bars or so. Here are the vocals all together.
Too late to save me, I won't regret it. I cannot strike for you. It's too late to save me, I won't regret it. I'm fucked up and I know.
One thing I like doing with vocals like these is like, what is it? I want to say distorting, but distorting. Overdrive.
I'm fucked up and I know.
Yeah, I basically put overdrive on it and reverb, and then I just put an auto filter basically, so it just takes out the highs, and it has that kind of cool effect. These are all basically different versions of the same vocal, because I was working with limited vocals, so if I had like different takes, these would be like different takes. Obviously they wouldn't be the same exact file, but it worked out pretty well because of the different effects I had on it. So if I were to like flatten this, like freeze it and flatten it, they would look differently, the WAV files, if that makes sense.
I'm fucked up and I know.
Little altar boy, gotta love that. Not huge on plugins to be honest, but this dude is pretty dope for vocals. Makes cool, a lot of cool things actually. Anyways, yeah, layering of that. One thing I did was again with the distorted vocals on kind of call and response. So it's like,
Too late to save me, I won't regret it. I cannot strike for you.
you know, and then it comes back more in your face, and then more like in the distant. A nice little effect, I thought. And then moving on here.
She told me that she wanna fuck my head again.
Brought back those big.
She told me when I'll be back, I'll help you again. It's not worth it, time could heal it. I need drugs.
These are like the drum build. I brought it in with a little frequency, or is it? Basically a little auto filter and gain, just kind of brought it in there in the last bar, like it was coming out of water. I have a specific like set of snares I really like for this kind of build up, you know, and then I kind of slowly brought in the melody for the drop right here. When I bring it in, I really want to keep it subtle until like the last 8 bars before the drop. Then I kind of, if you look at the automation here, I brought down like the high end. I don't know, this is frozen, so if I were to unfreeze this, here's at 1K, brought it down to 1K, and then I don't know what this is. I slowly brought in right in the middle and then down towards the end because I wanted it to hit harder when the drop came. So you can slightly hear it more right about the 53 measure mark. Yeah, these are the melodies. By itself, I'm not gonna lie, it sounds pretty harsh. I did do some EQing to kind of take some certain artifacts in there, but I think it blends pretty well with these saws, which I could also do a separate video on by itself. But these are basically chord stacks. You know, a lot of basic melodic dubstep, future bass has chord stacks. I did a lot of fucking around to kind of find what I wanted, but it's basically a bunch of different. Same thing with my kicks, you know, you take certain frequencies and make sure they don't clash so they sit well together. You know, creating a new sound basically out of a bunch of different ones so it collectively sounds dope. That's that one. That's more of an effects one. And then my favorite one is this one. I love this one. I don't know why I like that one so much. And then I got a mid bass. I don't know, it has some dope frequencies to it. It's like low, but also has some nice tones in the high. I think the EQ, what's the EQ looking like here? Yeah, I took out kind of sloped because you mainly want it in these frequencies, I'd say, for the mid bass. But I took those out, but it had some nice high tones. And then white noise just for like the really high ends. Easier to control if you just have like white noise and then kind of cut out the high ends on these saws. So altogether, these saws, one thing I like to do a lot too is like we use squares instead of saws. I think that sounds amazing. Those are saws by themselves, and then like all of these, including the mid bass. Yes, I love that. And what else? I also have a samplers here. Basically what I do with samplers, I took like, similar to what Said the Sky does, he takes like some kind of vocal and then he puts it in a sampler and like plays chord stacks with it. It's kind of like it sounds like almost a choir effect, and this is what mine sounds like. It's like this ethereal sound, and I had a tonic. I always say it wrong. Tonic, whatever. That's just playing the main note, and this is playing the main note on the chord progression. Similar to the sub and mid bass. And of course you got these bass growls. I'm not gonna go too in depth on them, but it's a combination of growls. It's like two. I did that for like the highs because I started with this one and then I didn't like it by itself, so I kind of took more away from it and added another one that I liked more, which is this bottom one. But this one and then this, and together they're like, I like it. And then we got the snares, of course. This is the one I actually did the video on, I'm pretty sure. If you want to go watch that. On my snares. And then you got the subs. Yes. That low, what is that? Yes. Anything close to an F on your subs just rumbles. That low F. Yes, this is the drop. I'll play it. And then these are basically, let's see, they're like ghost triggers. Has to do with like side chaining. If you're not too familiar with that, I would like literally just Google ghost trigger side chain. Basically what happens is if you route it correctly, everything, all the musical elements cut out during that time, and make space for the kick and snare. So these ones make it so that basically everything cuts out when the snare hits, and these ones make it so that basically when the kick hits, everything cuts out. And then we go on to the verse here. It's basically a continuation of the first verse earlier before the drop, except just some added elements. Some more percussion up there. What we got here, these are plucks. Yes, I love those plucks. But that's all. Even these plucks are a combination. These are like bells for like at the high end, kind of like that, ting ting ting. And then more electronic. And then of course you got the 808s in the second verse of it when it picks up a little bit.
Too late to save me, I won't regret it. I cannot fight for you. It's too late to save me, I won't regret it. I'm fucked up and I know. She told me that she wouldn't fuck my head again.
I had kind of had a background thing playing the tonic, whatever it's called. I think that this is called mid bass. I don't know how I did. I took one of the previous instruments down at the bottom. I'm not sure if it was one of the plucks or the mid bass, and I just basically I fucked around with it and made that. I like to look at Serum to see what I did there, but this 808 I think I just put in a sampler and then I just played it. Of course did some, you know, saturation, some other things to it. And these are, I made this, I don't even know, I think I took a shaker and then I like EQ'd it and like distorted it using that overdrive, the similar thing that I did for the vocals earlier I was talking about. And it makes like that radio sound, like a, and I use that as almost like a shaker. So it's like subtle, but
She told me that she wouldn't fuck my head again. She told me when I'll be.
in some of my other songs, I think one other song of mine, it's more, you can hear it more dramatically, but I kind of just wanted to add it in there. And then these crash cymbals.
She told me when I'll be.
Nice touch in the background. Add some excitement in the high end. Added a little bit more to the claps, kind of a reverse clap here. Yep. What else here? Flux. Yeah. That pad familiar again. And of course there's like effects all at the bottom that basically has to do with transitions. These ones I made myself by basically just like this. So these are all individually all my own, but like you basically just stack it like this, and then you just freeze export it all as one. And then yeah, if you just combine things that you like and it works well together and you just export it, that's like kind of how you make your own stuff. If that made any sense. Yeah, there's like chimes in there, but whatever. Back to the thing. Back to life. Back to reality. Yeah. In this build, I had the plucks continue to play on the second part. So that thing I was talking about earlier with the side chaining and the ghost triggers, that's why these sound kind of like dun, 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 dun. And that's why I did that. I cut it up a little bit because this isn't the same progression as it was, This is the progression. It doesn't follow that. But because of that effect that it had in the notes, I cut it up so that way, because of that effect, it sounded the way that it did. I could have just played the notes differently to accommodate that, but I just cut it up and threw it in as how I heard it with the side chaining. So this is kind of, I got a little bit more complicated with the mixing of the vocals here, but I basically took some of the vocal and it's like that distorted effect and really in a big room, but as far as reverb, but the high ends aren't cut out. I made sure that fit with like the saws and the melodies because you kind of had to cover space for it, otherwise it kind of sounds muddy. I do that using track spacer. If you don't have track spacer, it's a cheat code. You should get it. It looks like, where is it? Here it is. It's like a EQ sidechain. So basically when you select the frequency range and whenever the other track that you're set to sidechain it to, the frequencies on this track that you have it on duck in those frequencies where the other track is playing. You can, if that confuses you, you can just go check it out. Track spacer by, I forgot the dude's names. It'll come up right away if you search it. And of course you got, yeah, these are like the leave me and then it goes back. So those are dry, not reverb at all. I like that how it kind of comes up right before that, just that it, I don't know why. Some people don't, but I do. I like to do is you can create rhythms with that side chain, even if there isn't, you know, a kick or a snare. So where's a good example? I think right here. Yep, I make it pulse right there, like rhythmic, and there's like not a kick there. So if I were to just solo the solace here, you kind of see how it pulses there. I'll play it again. Yeah, I like doing that a lot with that because it like the dynamics where it goes from like 0 to full volume is pretty dope. And then outro, I like my strings. So my buddy did some strings for me. He plays violin. So I literally have like, so I basically have 2 octaves of him playing each note on the violin, and then I just kind of, I bring it in, I drag that sample in, and then I do that for each basically main note of the chord, and then I freeze it all and bring it into a new waveform. Yeah, you get the point. And then this is the lower octave of that same one. And then this is like a cello. And then this is the same thing as that, just playing like chords, and I think it's higher. And then it all has reverb on it. Really dramatic and cinematic. I love that shit. And then I have that wispy pad that I had earlier. Add some airy stuff. And those samplers to kind of make it more choir. That sound like a choir. And then that brass thing from earlier. Oh, this is piano. There's the brass thing. Let's play it all together. And then what I did with this to kind of make it sound like it's coming in and out, I basically just put an LFO modulating the auto filter so it kind of comes in. And it comes back out. It just fits really well with everything else that's going on, like the chords and the cinematic sounds. So that's basically what I did. If you got any questions or anything I can help you guys with, I'm totally down to help you guys. Just comment below, let me know what's up, and I appreciate you guys watching me. You can go listen to the full thing anywhere, all platforms. Leave Me, it's called, and I'll see you guys on the next one.